Thank you so much, Bobby, and good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please make sure to mute your line. We've got two great speakers today, and you will have the opportunity to ask some questions at the end by putting those Q&As in the chat box. Feel free to type them in whenever it may come to you, and we will make sure to go back even if it's early on. I'd like to thank the City of Corona for partnering with us to put on this program today. They are a wonderful resource here, a great partner with the Corona Chamber, and they're always looking out for businesses, as are we. So that public-private partnership, we can definitely accomplish a lot more together. So we'd definitely love to thank them for bringing this to you all today. If you miss any portion of today's presentation, if you have to log off early, or if you have a colleague that you really think should have been here today and couldn't join us live, it will be posted to our YouTube channel afterwards, so they can still get a chance to partake in all of the great resources that Kim and Simon will share with us today. Before we begin the program, we have a few announcements to make and let you know about some upcoming things happening here at the Chamber. Every Wednesday, the Chamber hosts a business briefing, and this week we will be hearing a healthcare update from Kaiser Permanente. CEO from the Riverside branch, Bob Blair, will be joining us. You definitely will not want to miss him. We also have a fun get to know you one-on-one with CEOs and what's the word that I'm looking for? Leaders in our community. And this month we will be hearing from Chad Miller. He's the owner of Industrious Manufacturing, and our Legislative Action Chair, Jeff Miller, will be having a conversation with him, introducing him to you guys and giving you an opportunity to ask him some questions as well. These are held, like I said, every week as a resource for what's going on in the community and what our business owners need to know about. So there is a registration link on the screen, and we hope you can join us. Later on next month, actually, it feels like it's this month already, but on Friday, May 21st, we are going to be hosting the State of the County with Riverside County Supervisor Karen Spiegel as our main speaker. We will be holding this in person. We have loved the opportunity to get back together with everybody. It's outdoors. We also have an option to join us virtually. So if you happen to be all the way in Israel or somewhere else, or you're just not ready to go back out and be in crowds yet, we do have that option for you as well. You definitely won't want to miss it. She's going to give an update on the reopening and what's happening. If you live here in California, then you're aware of our governor's announcement about the tiers going away in June. So she'll definitely touch on that, as well as many other transportation, healthcare, etc. updates. The following week, we will be hosting the Chamber's annual Golf Classic. This event, we are so excited to share, is actually sold out for golfing, but we have lots of other options to get involved. We have two different things that I'm going to share with you today. And one of those is that we are raffling an opportunity drawing with 5 amazing prizes for you. A portion of the proceeds from every one of these ticket sales is going to a local nonprofit, which we're very excited to give back to the community on for this. The 5 prizes include a shotgun donated by Sportsman's Warehouse, a 50-inch TV donated by the Chamber, $250 to Glen Ivy Hot Springs Spa donated by United Paving Company, $200 worth of gift certificates to local businesses, as well as a foursome of golf to Eagle Glen Golf Club. Now, if you didn't get a chance to golf, don't worry, because we are having a twilight celebration that night. So whether you golf that day or not, you can come join us for a great dinner, auction. That's where we'll draw the opportunity drawings, and we'll have a live band as well from Neon Nation. So hope to see you there. The Chamber has partnered with the County of Riverside to provide free disposable masks as well as hand sanitizer to any business that may need them. These are for your business's personal use, not for resale, but if you need these for your clients, your customers, your staff members, you can come pick those up here at the Chamber anytime Monday through Friday, and we will help get you hooked up with that. If you haven't yet purchased yourself a new labor law poster for the year. It's something that needs to be updated every single year. This is required by law to have both California and federal labor laws posted in a conspicuous place for all of your employees to see. Every employee that is off-site also needs their own physical labor law poster, and if you are found to be out of compliance, there are fines that go over $17,000. So we have them here at the Chamber. We'd love to make sure that you are compliant with the laws. We know you already are that type of people because you're here on this webinar today. So if you need one, just give us a call and we'll be sure to get you taken care of. If you happen to be joining us today and you're not yet a member of our chamber, I don't know what you're waiting for. You see this handsome gentleman on your screen, Robert Yanez. He is our membership specialist. And let me tell you, he knows a lot about businesses. He works with all different sizes, small, medium, and large. And he's very in tune with, what your needs are and listening to things that may be new to us. So we'd love the opportunity to have a conversation with you and see how we can partner for a better and stronger economy. The Chamber has a new mobile app. It is available on both Android and Apple. It is free to download. Our members can do things such as post promotions for their business, post upcoming events, and more. It's also a great way to make sure that you're not missing out on anything that's happening. Anyone can download it, so there's the opportunity for your business to be seen by people near and far, and great resource for our members. And if you haven't downloaded it yet, I hope you take a look at it today and find some value in that. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce today's speakers. I will be starting with our fabulous chairman of the board, Kim Mabon, who will then introduce Simon. Kim has been working as a creative professional for over 30 years. We just celebrated her 25th anniversary in business last week. What a joyous event that was. She has a great range of experience working with all variety of industries, and she helps us here personally at the Chamber as well. In addition to her professional background, she is also very philanthropic, and she's a board member for Giving 365, a treasurer for the Tuesday Stars networking group, and she's just an all-around wonderful person. We're so excited that she brought this to our attention so that we could make sure to bring accessibility to all individuals. So thank you so much, Kim, and take it away.
Thank you, Stephanie. Well, this all started about a year and a half ago when I got a call from one of my website design clients, and they had some concerns because someone they knew was served with a lawsuit for having their website be inaccessible. So I started doing some research and was blown away by what I was finding. In 2018 or late 2018, it might be 2019, the DOJ declared that all websites were public accommodations and therefore subject to Title III of the American Disabilities Act. And lawsuits were popping up all over the place for different businesses not being in compliance. And this reminded me of the issues that we faced here in Riverside County with individuals going around suing different local businesses because their physical businesses weren't compliant. Well, now it's moving to online. Whereas the ones with the physical buildings turned out to be a lot of times just an extortion plot, and they actually did get arrested. DA Mike Hestron covered that in our Good Morning Corona in February. So with the web, it's a little bit different because Simon will be going over the part of legislation in a bit. But I did a lot of research and was finding that it was very, very expensive to make your website ADA compliant. And so I kept searching until I was able to find something that was affordable for small businesses. And I came across Accessibe, and in reviewing their platform, we decided to form a partnership to be able to bring it here to you. And we're also partnering with the Chamber to be able to offer this special introductory program that Simon's about to go over. So at this time, I am going to turn it over to Simon, who can tell you a little bit about the background of Accessibe and go into the platform. So Simon, take it away.
Hey, Thanks so much, Kim. I really appreciate the intro. And I just wanted to say first and foremost how much of a pleasure it's been to be working with you. And to formally introduce myself, my name is Simon Benarie, and my primary role at Accessibe is as a director of training. So I have the opportunity to work and help teach everybody internally about our solution, about accessibility in general, the verbiage, the nomenclature, the product, the tech, the legal background and environment, and having the privilege of being able to advance my knowledge over the course of 2 years has been a pleasure. I do want to just give a little bit of a background and an example of a story of our chief vision officer, which is an example of how accessibility can be very important. Assistive technologies can be found everywhere. Assistive technologies can be also animals. By the way, our chief vision officer's name is Michael Hinchson. He is a 9/11 survivor, a New York Times #1 best-selling author with the book Thunderdog. So he was able to survive the 78th floor of the World Trade Center by being able to escape with his guide dog, Roselle. So there's a book, #1 best-selling book, Thunderdog, and he's now our chief vision officer, and we have the privilege of listening to his webinars and advance the rhetoric for web accessibility every day. So as Kim mentioned, of course, ADA has been around for a while, right? We've always heard about the physical locations when it was signed in 1991 by George Bush Sr. And that basically stated that all places of public accommodations need to be accessible. And that was for physical locations, whether it was a ramp in front of the entrance of a restaurant or an accessible bathroom. But now this presentation is going to be more focused on how that was transitioned over digitally speaking. So I'm going to share my screen with you and talk to you a little bit about web accessibility, what it's about, its relationship with ADA compliance. I'll talk to you about our solution and its features, the process of becoming accessible and of course compliant, and then be able to also give you a features demonstration of our solution, show you exactly how that's going to look like on a website. And then in conclusion, I'd be happy to answer any questions that may come. And just the last thing I'd say is that I would ask that all questions be held to the end. And I'm here for as much time needed to answer any questions that may come through. So Kim, just as the point person here, are you able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just to get started, and we'll talk
Simon, you froze.
Technology would have it. So he's going to have to come back. Oh, my Lord.
Uh-oh.
Give us just a minute. Chat with him. Okay, so he came off.
Okay, so he's probably going to sign back on.
Yeah. Give us just a moment. That's why the initials are IT, because it happens. Information technology, and you can fill out letters on both sides. You can do 2 letters in front. Yeah, because it does happen. So
This is like the part of the movie where like you're waiting to see what happens to the main character. The screen
and it
goes
just stops.
This is where, yeah. So hang in there, everyone. We apologize. He should be coming back on. Kim, can you shoot an email to him and make sure?
Yeah.
Thank you. For those that are unaware that may not have heard, Simon is over in Israel. This is the company that actually perfected this entire system and the program that we have engaged with at the chamber.
Okay, he said he's connecting now. He had a power outage.
Nice. Okay. Glad it wasn't on our end. So
He said he needs 3 minutes.
I can understand that happens. So again, Kim, one of the questions I know that was shot to me and I forwarded over to Anthony, if you can just explain what DOJ is.
DOJ is the Department of Justice. Hold on, let me pull up
Yeah.
my.
So, and so for those that are on the call, this is not something that is done locally here by the city of Corona or by Riverside County or even the state of California.
Yeah, this is a federal regulation.
Agency. And so this is something that is pretty serious, and we're sure that the government will put into place people to spot check different websites. And unfortunately, the smaller businesses are typically the ones that will be targeted because they are the ones that don't typically have enough resources to fix things or to litigate, have an attorney on staff that can go ahead and stall and get things taken care of. But with what Kim's bringing to us is pretty exciting and reasonably priced. So. Again, give us just a minute. He should be coming on in a minute.
Yeah.
Anthony, do we have to clear them when they sign on?
Nope, he can just sign right on.
Does anyone else have something they'd like to share with the class today?
They're all quiet today.
We have Chad Miller on the line, who's going to be on our business briefing this week. We also have Crystal Lopez, who's our featured entrepreneur with Coffee with an Entrepreneur on May 10th. Either of you want to say anything to get people excited to come hear you? Give them a little teaser.
Hey, Chad.
I'd like to say something. I am super excited. This is definitely something that I can definitely take off my bucket list. That's for sure. So thank you for having me.
Hey, hey guys, so sorry. My computer completely crashed on me.
Okay.
I hope none of you guys got out. I'm just resetting up on an Ariel, one of my associates' computers, and I'll be starting the presentation shortly.
No worries. Thank you.
I'm really sorry about that.
Simon, it's good.
So let me go ahead and share my screen and keep it going. Are you able to see the presentation again?
We see the presentation. We just don't see your face.
All right, let me take.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
So we were at the very beginning there, and we'll talk about web accessibility and its relationship to ADA compliance, our solution and its features, the process of becoming compliant with us, and then answer any questions that may come about. So just to get started and to talk a little bit about web accessibility, the best way for me to put it is that it's a set of rules, behaviors, code standards, and design guidelines created by the W3C, which is the World Wide Web Consortium, and they're called the WCAG. The most up-to-date version of that is the 2.1 at the AA level, which encapsulates a range of disabilities that go from hindering internet use to making internet use impossible. And some of the categories that you see here are blind people using screen readers, the motor impaired using only the keyboard to navigate, you have epilepsy, color blindness, cognitive and learning disabilities, visual impairments, and more. So really, the WCAG 2.1 at the AA level has become the global standard for web accessibility and is now applicable to ADA Title III compliance. You also have the Section 508, which applies to government institutions or even private sector that receives government funding. You have as well the EN 301549, which is the European legislation, the Israeli IS 5568, and many more. And to get into how that applies legally, especially with the ADA, because that's most applicable for who our audience today, I wish I can tell you that everybody was lining up to make their sites accessible because of the push for inclusivity, which is a major thing. And of course, we all want to make the internet a more inclusive place for people with disabilities. But the increase in demand has come as a result of the increase in demand letters and lawsuits, which are targeting businesses of all sizes. So you've seen since 2016 a 200% increase every year, with reports of tens of thousands of demand letters and lawsuits. And then, as what Kim mentioned, in the end of 2018 is where things really decided to ramp up when the Department of Justice officially affirmed that all websites are considered public accommodations and therefore must comply with Title III of the ADA. So that happened in the end of 2018. And then 2019 saw a 300% increase from 2018. And then in the end of 2019, you had the first web accessibility case that went to the Supreme Court. And that's the Domino's case, if you've heard of it. And they appealed their case all the way up. A gentleman by the name of Guillermo Robles sued Domino's. And it's actually a very kind of sad case, because when he originally sued Domino's and told them, I'm not able to order a pizza from your website, they essentially replied to him saying, if you want to order a pizza, you can use the phone, which is a really horrible thing to say or do. And of course, they lost flat out in the local courts. But when they appealed it to the Supreme Court, their argument was different. It was, there are no clear guidelines on how to make a website accessible, which is an interesting thing to say. However, it does not exclude the responsibility to become accessible. And really, the Supreme Court rejected the appeal outright. And rejecting that appeal essentially was the Supreme Court aligning with the Department of Justice affirmation. Since then, things really began to skyrocket. I'll tell you, as a company, we received a massive funding round since then. Meetings have exploded. There's been a 400% increase in lawsuits in 2020 since that happened in the end of 2019, and we saw 265,000 demand letters that were served in 2020, which is staggering numbers, even with COVID affecting businesses, and which is another reason why the stress of reliance on digital assets and making them accessible for people with disabilities has increased, because as much as we were reliant on digital assets, websites, when COVID hit, it became even more so. Basically, before the DOJ affirmation, you only saw enterprises and government institutions being targeted. Now you're seeing businesses of all sizes, SMBs, mom and pops, single proprietors as well. So with that said, the problem becomes a little bit more difficult when considering the options to become accessible and to become compliant, because what you have are either free plugins that don't give you more than 5 to 10% of what you need and really only focus on the surface level UI adjustments and don't focus on the most important assets and disability categories such as screen reader adjustments and keyboard navigation adjustments for blindness and motor impairments. Then you have manual services, which do great work, but they cost tens of thousands of dollars per website. They take several weeks or months to implement. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is after you've spent all that time and money, every time you want to make a change, addition, or revision to your website, you have to spend thousands more or compromise a significant portion of the accessibility you worked so hard to attain. So with that said, 99% of businesses are left without a feasible solution that's going to help them to help people with disabilities and prevent them from receiving lawsuits. And as a result of that, we created Accessibe, which is the first and only fully AI-powered machine learning software that was developed with the understanding that if you're able to successfully automate the process, you in turn create a simple, immediate, affordable, and compliant solution that's going to serve as an effective win-win for both the business owner and for people with disabilities who, at the end of the day, just want equal access to the internet. In culmination with our pricing model, our solution is not only an effective win-win for business owners, but also for people with disabilities. And it makes our solution not only a no-brainer compared to the rest of the options, but it makes web accessibility in general a no-brainer for the 99% of businesses that otherwise wouldn't have a feasible option. Now, we developed our solution side by side with leading experts in assistive technologies and accessibility. And this is also one of the big reasons why it's so important to have an accessible internet, because the people that are working on assistive technologies and the advancement of web accessibilities oftentimes also have disabilities and need these assistive technologies and adjustments to be able to advance the very subject that we're speaking about. So we developed our solution side by side with people with disabilities who are experts in accessibility and assistive technologies. And we did this in order to optimize our solution and not just check off legal boxes, but also make sure that we are innovative and continuing to optimize and provide a for us, by us solution to make the internet ultimately a more accessible place for people with disabilities. How are we doing so far? Well, our partners, our clients, and users that rely on our solution have been raving about us vicariously through top magazines and sites across fields like tech, digital services, and more. We've recently closed a $28 million funding round, which brings us closer to our ultimate goal of making the internet fully accessible by 2025. And I can't update this slide fast enough, but today we have over 120,000 clients. And that's anywhere from the largest Fortune 500 companies and bona fide government institutions, all the way to tens of thousands of small to medium businesses, mom and pops and single proprietors. You have examples like Avon, BMW, the Louisiana Department of Health, the Florida Bar Association, Miami State Attorney's Office, and many, many, many more clients. Of our many, many clients, and this is an important statistic because a lot of businesses are becoming accessible, of course, to make their sites more inclusive, but it's also to avoid the lawsuits that are running rampant. So, not a single one of our clients have received a lawsuit under our watch after implementing our solution. And in fact, over 4,500 clients came to our doorstep with a demand letter or lawsuit served. And by acting quickly to resolve the matter with our solution, we're able to either significantly reduce settlement fees or remove the threat entirely. Now, most of the time, all they have to do is to provide an accessibility statement. Our accessibility statement, it's a requirement to have it anyway. So any fully loaded web accessibility company, and it's important for you guys to note this, whether you are doing this with a freelancer, one-man shop, a manual accessibility company, it's a requirement to have an accessibility statement. It also acts as a certificate of performance. It explains the adjustments that our solutions made to the website, browser and assistive technology compatibility, and also describes how to report issues if any are found. And the statement will be personalized to the name of the domain and dated, and will also be emailed to you directly, and that's basically the sign that the website is accessible with our solution. And I'll explain to you when we get to the implementation process how that exactly works. So that's going to be reinforced with monthly accessibility compliance audits, which further reinforce a track record of the accessibility of your site and broken down element by element, category by category. Our solution, of course, again, I can't stress this enough. Our number one goal is to provide a more inclusive internet and promote inclusivity so that people with disabilities can have equal access to the internet, but also give business owners the chance to protect themselves from ADA compliance lawsuits. So having a litigation support package is our way of saying, if anyone was to ever question the accessibility of your site after implementing Accessibe, we have a litigation support package which provides several tools and assets in the form of screenshots of the site's accessibility score, violations request master sheets, suggested responses, etc., in order to assert without a shadow of a doubt that your site is fully accessible and fully compliant with our solution. Now, lastly, before getting into a features demonstration, I want to talk about the process of becoming compliant with us. And the reason why business owners see this as a fan favorite is because of how simple it is. The first step is you install one line of JavaScript code. It takes you all of 5 minutes to implement and works with any website or CMS platform. We call it platform agnostic because we work with any coding style, any CMS. And then the moment you copy and paste that one line of code, your website instantly displays our accessibility interface. And simultaneously, and over the course of 48 hours, our AI is kicking in, and then it's finished. Your website's fully accessible, fully compliant. You'll receive that accessibility statement I mentioned as a basically indicator showing that your site is accessible, and we have finished remediating the site. And I'd have to say the best part of our solution in the long term has to be the automatic maintenance, because it means that our AI rescans the website every 24 hours to make sure that any changes, additions, or revisions are also being remediated. Ultimately, after the 5-minute installation of Accessibe, you no longer have to worry about compliance issues because everything else is done automatically, even for the websites that update daily. So before getting into a features demonstration, I wanted to see if anyone had any questions so far. And also apologize for that little technical difficulty.
No worries. Anthony, do we have any questions in the chat so far?
There are no questions at the moment.
Thank you.
Should I continue on with the features demonstration?
Yes.
Great. So before even doing that, I wanted to talk about how Accessibe achieves compliance. We do that by leveraging a foreground and background application. The foreground application is the accessibility interface. And it's often confused that because by sight, the interface is really all that you see. So it's sometimes confused that that's all our solution does. But that's only 20 or 25% of what our solution does. It's an accessibility interface that allows users to optimize the website's design and not have to compromise it in favor of accessibility. A user has an option of choosing profiles and enhancements. The profiles are one-click optimizations based on the disability category, and enhancements allows the user to custom fit or make a customized version based on their specific impairment. The back end is our AI machine learning powered process, which is responsible for the keyboard navigation and screen reader adjustments for the motor impaired and fully blind. We employ a contextual understanding AI, which is responsible for remediating menus, drop-downs, pop-ups, forms, icons, buttons, and all other elements by applying the appropriate screen reader text, ARIA attributes, and adjusted website behaviors. And then we also, for alt tags, because describing an image for a screen reader is very important, we use iris and optical character recognition to be able to describe the image and to derive any text that's embedded within an image. And all of this is supported in 14 different languages. So to anyone that's not, technical or in the web accessibility field, that might sound like a lot. So I want to, just put this into action and show you how that looks like on a website. So I'm going to pull up a browser now. And I'm not on my computer, so it'll take me one moment here. Great. Is everybody able to see this website?
Yes.
Okay. So as mentioned, we achieve accessibility and compliance by leveraging two components. The first, as mentioned, was the accessibility interface. The beauty of the interface is that it allows the user to design the website however they want and optimize it using profiles without having to compromise the accessibility of the website. So for example, and one of the major disability categories is epilepsy, because animations like this one or flickering GIFs like this one may cause a risk of seizures for users that are entering the site and viewing this. So having a seizure-safe profile, turning it on, stops all of the moving content and reduces the color slightly. in order to optimize and have a safe browsing experience. You have the vision impaired profile, which essentially is there to enhance the website's visuals by scaling the content by 100%. And if you take a look at the font of the title here, New Summer Collection, the spikes may be smudged to certain visual impairments. So by turning on the visually impaired profile, it enhances the contrast and also changes the font to the user's system default font, which is clearly going to be readable to them. So I'm going to turn that on, and you see the content is scaled by 100%. You also see that the contrast is brightened slightly, as well as the font being changed to a more legible, more readable font. You have the cognitive disability profile, which assists with reading and focusing by highlighting all of the clickable content. So you have all of the menu items, the icons, the titles, all the clickables will be highlighted in orange, and all of the titles and important content will be highlighted in blue.
Simon,
Finally,
can you go back and forth on that to show the off and on, and so that people can see right away?
Sure. So here is with vision impaired profile off, and when I turn it on, you see the content is scaled by 100%. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that when showing you the exact enhancements. But did you see how the font changed as well? And how the contrast was dimmer before, but when turning on the profile, it brightens the contrast. It's probably good to show you with images as well. See, it's dimmer. Now the contrast is way more defined. With the cognitive disability profile, assisting with reading and focusing, do you see how nothing is highlighted? Now, when you turn it on, you have these arrows. All of the clickable content is boxed, and all of the titles are boxed as well. Is that better?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Great. And also you have the ADHD friendly profile, which is intended to reduce the distractions by stopping the moving content, just like with the seizure safe profile, but also by providing a reading mask. So when turning it on, you'll see that the GIF has stopped flickering, and you have a reading mask to help with focusing on the exact part of the page that you want to be on, kind of a tunnel vision of sorts. So all of these are optimization profiles that we're able to derive by accessibility and disability focus groups. But it's, we also understand that it's not a one size fits all. And there's never going to be a button that you can click to optimize for a specific disability category. And that's why we always want to leave the room for enhancements so that you can enhance the content to your specific needs. For example, let's say 100% scaled content is not enough, or it's too much for you. You can always scale the content to your exact specifications. Or let's say you don't need the content to be scaled. You just want the font to be more readable. You can turn on the readable font button. You can highlight the titles and not the links, or the links and not the titles. Adjust specific fonts or heights, as well as spacing. And this is for disability categories such as blurred vision, nearsighted or farsightedness, among others. And then you have minor visual impairments in the form of or that need contrast, saturation, or color adjustments, like cataracts, glaucoma, and color blindness. You have the ability to change to a dark contrast, a monochrome scheme, a higher contrast if need be, and depending on the severity of the situation, adjust specific text, title, and background colors. Is all this clear so far? Great. Now, the great part about Accessibe is that you don't have to do this every time you enter the site. It will save the settings, and if you want to, of course, reset it, you can always go ahead and do so there. There are at least 75 features on here. You have the accessibility statement, which is on the website itself. You have the language adjustment options, as well as an online dictionary that allows you to look up and understand certain terms and phrases, which is pretty self-explanatory, as well as this last category of adjustments, which will provide you the things like the reading mask and stopping the animations without having to reduce the contrast itself. a lot of people are usually, slightly impressed when they see this, but the impressive part actually happens on the back end. And the magic of Accessibe is what happens, and the adjustments that we're able to do for keyboard navigation and screen reader adjustments for motor impaired and blind individuals, or those with major visual impairments. So in order to show you that, I would need to activate accessible mode. And one of the ways that you would activate accessible mode is by simply triggering your assistive technology. Some people use click sticks in their mouth, like quadriplegics. Some people just use the tab key, which is the universal key for keyboard navigation. And then you have screen reader users, which are communicating with, vocally and audibly to the screen reader user. For example, a user that enters a site with Accessibe gets an announcement to press Alt-1 in order to activate accessibility adjustments. And if I do so, you will be able to see with a check mark on the icon that you're in accessible mode, but a blind user will get an announcement to that screen reader. And in accessible mode, you can start navigating the site using your assistive technology, and you see that you have access to the icons, search bars, you have access to drop-down menus as well. When triggering open pop-ups, the keyboard focus lifts and lands on the pop-up, as well as the form labels being filled, which is something that is crucial for accessibility. A lot of keyboard focus is trapped in the back, and when you have a motor impairment or when you're using a screen reader, that will not allow you to fill out a form or even continue navigating the site. If I turn off accessible mode, you'll see what I'm talking about. When I open up a form here, you see the keyboard focus did not land on this form, and the form labels are not filled in either. Again, turning it on, you will see that it's now filled in. And it will even take you to where you made a specific mistake if you did so, and shift the focus there as well. As well as, organizing the site properly and adjusting the header hierarchy and other images, forms, and content, which are some of the complex parts that Accessibe excels in remediating. And to show you one of the, probably the most impressive feature, in my opinion, has to be the image recognition technology, and that operates on the console. So I'm going to reset the settings again, just to show you a before and after picture. So one of the major things for screen reader optimization is having to label an icon, an image properly by describing it. For example, an image over here needs to be described in the code base. And I hope that you can see the console. Over here, highlighting this image, oops, you'll see that there is no description of it here. And whatever way that we would describe it, doing things manually, you would have to go through every image and write a specific alt description in the code base. Another image I'll show you for good measure would be here, and you have the text that's embedded within the image as well as the GIF itself, and you see that there is no description at all. Another thing is also providing the correct element roles, adjusted website behaviors, and ARIA attributes for things like icons. So you see how there's no labeling here. It's not telling the screen reader that they are going to Facebook or that it's taking them to a new window, or even the fact that it's not navigable is three major accessibility failures in just that icon. So I want to show you what happens now when accessible mode is turned on. And I hope that you can see the image and the code well. I'll try to, all right. So I'm going to press Alt-1 now, as we mentioned, and that's what users with screen readers get an announcement to turn on accessible mode by pressing Alt-1. And you'll see the code changing live. If I inspect this image once again, you'll see the alt tag saying woman in shorts standing on gray concrete floor near body of water during daytime, which is probably better than I'd be able to describe it. As I mentioned, we use iris and optical character recognition to be able to provide the proper descriptions for images. I can show you another one. OCR, which is optical character recognition, is the technology that's responsible for deriving any text that's embedded within the image. So that's why you'll see travel shopping 50% off, as well as the description, which the iris is taking care of, wood, retro, and luggage. Now, images are subjective, of course, so that's why you need technology like this to be able to describe it. As we know that icons like this are more objective, right? We know that this F is Facebook and that it's an icon, and that if we click it, we're going to go to Facebook because we've seen it a bajillion times. And that's the essence of machine learning technology. It's the fact that our solution is putting using contextual understanding AI to put icons like this into context by analyzing hundreds of millions of data sets and comparing it to the hundreds of thousands of websites that it's already seen. So that way it can tell you that this is Facebook and this icon will take you to a new window, that this is a clickable element. And now it's navigable, and we'll also give it a now navigable label to show you that Accessibe made it navigable. It wasn't that it was there before. These are the remediations that we have done to make it accessible. You'd think maybe our AI would just label this to be a heart. Putting it into context, it knows better by giving it a wish list label or a favorites label as well. Another thing, for example, these stars over here, our AI is able to know that these are not just a bunch of stars on the page. It knows that this is in fact a rating system, and it will assign the ARIA label 4 out of 5 rating, understanding that 4 of the gold stars are there and 1 is empty. And that in general is probably a good description of all the different categories and what we're able to do in terms of the adjustments. I wanted to see if anyone had any questions for the time that we have left.
There is one question specific to the demo itself. It is, the demo is very cool, but if someone needs to use the accessibility features, could they do so with the small menu or with the bright colors of the link you were showing us? Would they effectively be able to turn it on?
You're talking about activating the backend features or using the interface itself?
The question did not specify.
Okay, so I'm not quite sure. Let me see if I can get it in the chat. All right. By the way, thanks for the nice comments. But in order to activate accessible mode, you have 3 ways. So one, and by the way, the interface is only for people that would be abled enough to use the interface. If you are not abled enough to even use this interface, then you will need the backend adjustments that I showed you in the code base by either activating it by pressing Alt-1. You can tab into it. You can trigger your assistive technology to get into it. And you can even click into it from the interface. The reason why I didn't show you that you can click into accessible mode from the interface itself is because anybody that needs those backend adjustments would not be able to use the interface anyway. That's why for the 3 disability categories of epilepsy, minor visual impairments, and cognitive and learning disabilities, you would be using this interface. And for the other 2 categories, which is motor impairments and blindness, you would be using the back end adjustments. As in conclusion, we have the foreground application that handles those 3 disability categories and the back end that handles the other 2. And I hope that answers the question.
I believe it does. One last question is, how much is this service?
Well, I mean, just in terms of our pricing, I would defer that over to Kim, but you can always go to accessibe.com/pricing, and you know our solution starts at $490 a year.
Yep, that's what we're offering as well as our introductory price of $490 a year, and that is something that we're able to offer through our partnership with Accessibe. So if you're interested in signing up for this, you can contact me directly or get my information from Bobby, and the chamber does receive a small portion for each person that signs up.
And we'll go ahead and put your contact information in the wrap-up email that we send out today to all of our registered guests, along with the link to review the video again.
Great, that's awesome. Is there any other questions? And by the way, I really appreciate everyone, committing to this webinar. Any opportunity that we have as a company to promote a more inclusive internet, and to make things generally, not just digitally, physically, more inclusive for 20 to 25% of the general population. And that's a CDC and World Health Organization statistic. It's not just an estimate, but really 20-25% of the general population has a disability that affects internet use. So the fact that 98% of the internet is not accessible is math that just doesn't add up for us. And we're working every single day to balance those numbers.
That's incredible. Thank you so much, Simon and Kim, for bringing this to us today. This is something that is so important, and I think a lot of people still need to be educated about. And when you let people know that those numbers like that up to 25% of the population can't properly view these websites or have accessibility to be able to partake in these things that are part of everyday life, it just really brings it back that this is something very important that we all can make available.
Yeah, we'll have a link in inside the wrap-up email where you can go and sign up yourself, or if you want assistance, you can contact me.
Pleasure, everyone. I'm going to hop off now, but I really appreciate the time that you guys gave me today, and all the best for everyone moving forward, and a special thanks to Kim. I really appreciate every day that I have the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you, Simon. Great presentation. Before we wrap up today, we wanted to share with you a couple other things that we have coming up. If you enjoyed today's webinar and found value in this information that we've provided to you, just know that we are always looking for opportunities to educate our business community and ensure that we're making things as easy for you as possible. And this Thursday, we actually have another webinar coming up. This is geared towards landlords or property managers, people that might have residential tenants who are having difficulty paying for their utilities or their rent. And we've partnered with the United Way of the Inland Empire to provide an info session on how you can take advantage of a program to get payment for those lost payments and to give some relief to your tenants. So it's free to attend. It's in partnership with the City of Corona and the SoCal Gas Company. So we definitely would love for you to join us or share this with somebody that you know that could benefit from it. Tenants can participate as well. It is not aimed at them specifically, but it will be shared on there how they can take advantage of this program if they were impacted, if their income was impacted by COVID and they could just use a hand. Also, we alluded to it earlier, but on May 10th, we have our monthly Coffee with an Entrepreneur session in partnership with the City of Corona, and we are very excited to feature one of our board members, Crystal Lopez. She is the owner of Carter Bradley Insurance Solutions, and she is going to share with you her story to becoming an entrepreneur, how she ended up in the insurance field, answer all of your questions, and it's going to be a really great morning. So we encourage you to sign up for that as well. It's also free to attend, and we hope to see you soon.